Another headline that the COVID aid facing a very uncertain path on Capitol Hill as White House warns of severe consequences. White House officials warning key pandemic programs could soon run out of money unless Congress fails to quickly authorize another $15.6 billion in new COVID aid. So we're just throwing around billion here, billion there, new 1.5 trillion here. Here a billion, there a billion, everywhere a billion. Want some aid? Here's some aid. COVID aid, Ukraine aid. Who wants aid? Get your aid here. Congressional aid here. Sure, what the hell? Why not? Let's talk to Congressman Dan Meuser of Pennsylvania's 9th Congressional District about all this aid. Congressman, can I get some of that action? Welcome in.
Yeah. Hey, Chris. Yeah, no kidding, right? That's pretty much what these bills are about, just the so-called Christmas tree type of special interest. Let's do this, let's do that. You know, the Compete bill, which didn't get much press a couple of weeks back, I mean, that added only 150 new government programs and, of course, was only voted on in a very partisan way by Democrats. Yeah, and you know what? That's what they're doing in our city of brotherly love right now. All I'm hearing is that they're coming up with ways to spend more money, plans for spending, and how not to sound preachy. So it sounds like they're they got a lot of work to do.
You know, Congressman Meuser, we haven't talked before, and I'm grateful for your time today. I know you're going to be part of a conference call today on the Democrats visiting Philadelphia. There's a few things at work here, so I'm a bit scattered in my presentation. My apologies. I'll jump around a bit. Let's start with let's just talk about spending in general. This party knows. Everyone understands the basic economics of if you continue to spend money at the clip we're spending money in 40-year high inflation, you're only going to exacerbate things. We all understand that, yet it just keeps getting spent.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At some point, one is left to conclude, and I guess as a member of Congress, you tell me, is this on purpose? Is this willful ignorance? Is it obtuseness? What is it?
Yeah, it's all that. It's very short-term thinking. Clearly, they don't understand the laws of gravity. Yes, too many dollars chasing too few goods, et cetera, as you stated. We've increased the money supply by nearly 40% just in the last couple of years. So Jerome Powell and the Fed are very much in on this as well as the spending, primarily from the far left. Look, during COVID, there's no question. During 2020, it was bipartisan. We spent nearly $5 trillion, an obscene amount of money for the shutdowns and everything else. But then Biden comes in and thinks it's a wonderful idea to double down on that with the rescue plan and flooding the communities as well as the states and every other coffer with all kinds of cash. And you know, we saw a lot of the entitlements run out at the end of 21. And it was no surprise. That's why we had such a strong jobs report in February. You know, a lot of those entitlements and freebies and all ended at the end of January 1, including the COBRA extension. You know, people needed health care, so they needed to go back to work. And we're not talking about the vast majority of Americans, not by any means, but we're talking about, you know, that 4 to 5 to 6% that didn't work because they could afford not to. And that makes all the difference in workforce shortages and the unemployment rate and such. So, look, you know, we got serious business to take care of. We need to be the strongest economy on the face of the earth, as well as the strongest defense and military. And the Biden administration, and absolutely supported by the Democrats that are there in Philadelphia right now, are supportive of actions and policies that are weakening our economy and weakening our national security. That is not the 21st century America that needs to stand up to China and everything else.
Congressman Dan Meuser with us, Pennsylvania's 9th Congressional District. We had your colleague Brian Fitzpatrick on the show yesterday. He's part of House Intelligence. I know you're on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Is that right?
Yes, I am. I
asked him yesterday, and I think it's kind of under that committee's purview, maybe not Foreign Affairs, but maybe you can speak to it. Are you hearing reports, concerns now that in Ukraine we've been monkeying around with bioweapons research there, much like Wuhan? Have you heard that yet? And if so, what do you know, if anything, about it? Is that something you feel you can confirm yet? Or the House Fitzpatrick says they're certainly going to be looking into it in his committee. Do you know anything about it?
I honestly don't. We have a tremendous amount of regular dialogue and discussion on with our foreign affairs. I mean, probably 6, 7, 8 times a day, as well as classified meetings and declassified, of course, with some of the, I guess, the top people at the State Department and Department of Defense. I haven't heard that. Now, we do hear that Russians are being found dead or alive with gas masks and things of that nature. So what their plans are either to resist the so-called vacuum bombs, the air cluster bombs, or they're planning some sort of other gaseous type of attack on the cities, which is known to be effective in cities.
But you're aware of that testimony this week before Senate Intelligence, Marco Rubio's questioning of Victoria Nuland, Under Secretary of State, who kind of confirmed that there are labs there that she expressed and confirmed concern would fall into Russian hands. Okay,
look. The Ukraine has some sophisticated research and all. I had a testimony with Nuland as well this week, and honestly, that discussion, those points did not come up.
Okay. It certainly sounds like it warrants further investigation, though, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, in this day and age where we just dealt with the Wuhan virus here and the issues and us having absolutely, a complete cover-up, frankly, on its origins, that's worthy of added concern, certainly.
Earnestly, too, I asked, not because I miss him, don't misunderstand, I don't. Where is Fauci? Sincerely. I mean, from a guy that was every day on our, it seemed like there was a congressional hearing every day with the guy. He's on every channel every day, all the time. He's standing next to Biden every day, all the time. It's like this thing never happened. 2 years of our lives hijacked, and now it's like it's over. He's gone, moving on. Russia, Ukraine.
Yeah, well, he's not showing to be useful to the Biden administration's spin any longer. Maybe he couldn't stomach it, or maybe they polled him and he is not in favor with the vast majority of Americans. So therefore, that's how this team runs. I mean, it runs on perception. It runs on spin. It certainly doesn't run on good policy or facts. Here you have already. The American people and the people in Pennsylvania can call this out. I mean, this is, how many times have you now heard that this is a Putin inflation, that this is Putin gasoline price hikes? I mean, they've got websites to that effect. I mean, they're really just trying to fool the American people. And meanwhile, of course, we know the price of gasoline was way up. Energy was way up weeks before the Russian invasion took place. And that's all due to us losing our energy independence and basically the Biden administration and the Democrats in the House and Senate having an assault on our domestic energy resources and companies.
Pennsylvania's 9th Congressional District Representative in Congress is Dan Meuser. He joins us today. The Democrats, as you have mentioned a couple times, are in Philadelphia. I chuckle because the president loves to come to Philadelphia. It's so funny because they will always say, the president hits the road to push this initiative. The president hits the road to push that initiative. Yeah. It's 9 times out of 10 always Pennsylvania, and we all know why, because it's just down 95 from the bunker in Wilmington, where he goes almost every single weekend. So his travels are always to Pennsylvania so that he can always go on Friday right to Wilmington. I'm I guess I shouldn't be amazed that the media doesn't tell that story. Like, the entire party is going to Philadelphia just to make it easy for Grandpa to get home quick.
Yeah, no question about it. It's all about ease. It's all about comfort. It's all about familiarness for the president. Look, very unfortunately, we're now experiencing. Look, we've all known Joe Biden over the years. I mean, in the past, he was a gregarious guy, never in doubt, but never right. But now he's lost that, and we are seeing what having a vacuum in leadership, a leader that's not determined, that's not decisive, and doesn't have their own policy, that is being led by the far left and probably 6 or 7, maybe 8 of staffers that are around him, feeding him information and what to say on a regular basis. And so therefore, we're seeing in the Ukraine and no leadership. We're seeing Germany step up. Heck, we're seeing Poland taking a far stronger leadership role than the United States, and they're being tougher and they're more aggressive, and they're right on top of Russia. So that's one reason that they're being more aggressive. But secondly, they've got far more to potentially lose. And I'm relating that just to this whole aircraft deal that went bad and really was a mess at the State Department, and they admitted to this. That this was agreed upon. The aircraft was going to go to the German air base, the U.S. air base in Germany, and then the aircraft was going to go to Ukraine. At the last minute, advisors came in as top advisors. I was told who told Biden, no, it's too risky, and they halted that midstream. So, American people got to understand, just like a strong CEO in a business, or just a strong leader in general, we're seeing that level of weakness right at the top, and Kamala Harris isn't exactly playing a significant supporting role. I think we can all see that as well. So, we've
do you think,
got a tough crew.
Congressman, do you think, politically speaking, I really do wonder, setting even aside party loyalties for a minute, do professional class politicians in Washington, D.C. watch the vice president's performance yesterday and everyone kind of cringe? I would imagine that even Democrats watched her yesterday in Poland and thought, oh, boy, we're not sending our best. The international community knows that's true. Yeah.
Look, the only ones that can continue to clap and applaud and say how wonderful that was are those who drank extremely spiked Kool-Aid. Because there was no getting around the fact that unfortunately the vice president was overseas, in over her head, respectfully. I don't know why, just doesn't do their homework and have an understanding and at least have some deliverables and a plan that at least synergizes with the EU and is in line with what Zelensky is asking for. None of that was articulated. It was frankly embarrassing.
I'm struck that on that same day that she's the one speaking on behalf of the United States as Russia's on the march in Ukraine, new inflation numbers come out that are just devastating.
Right.
Biden issues a written statement. He doesn't, he's not physically present. The man is physically a vapor. And now he's in Philadelphia today having a private confab with Democrats before, again, as I say, he undoubtedly runs home to Wilmington. The man, and I don't mean to make this too much of anything, but it's just the guy is not on the stage. He's not present. He's clearly not in command at a time the country needs a president to be in charge. As much as I don't want it to be him, he is the guy, and he's nowhere to be found. It's like he's phoning it in, and he's sending cut-rate hacks like Kamala Harris to do his work. He's issuing statements while the country is hurting. Yeah. It's so tone deaf. I know they know this. I know they must.
Well, they do, but they don't. They are tone deaf. They're out of touch. There's no leading taking place. You can see that. There's no rallying of NATO being led by Biden and actions of courage again that we're seeing from Zelensky. Everything is being reactive, right? It's being responsive. We responded to the oil embargo because the oil companies themselves stopped purchasing Russian oil. We're supporting Germany's efforts, things of that nature. So it's an unusual role for the United States, and I think we're seeing this lag is a big reason for the disasters that we're facing and the catch up from Afghanistan to certainly now the Ukraine. And when I say they're sort of not out of touch, look, no matter what, that group that surrounds the president on a regular basis will not engage in increasing our energy production here at home because they are so sold on the Green New Deal and that woke direction. And it's absolutely terrible. No matter what, they'll buy from Venezuela, they'll buy from Saudi Arabia, they'll buy from Iran, the center of terrorism in the world, before they will drill in Pennsylvania or allow added permits in the Permian Basin and such in the Dakotas. I mean, it's just outrageous. Talk about being tone deaf and allowing that to destroy our economy, frankly, inflation and high gas prices, and weaken us from a national security standpoint. It's outrageous. And you know what? The Democrats in Philadelphia should be redirecting that policy on their own, because they are in touch with the American people.
It's so clear to me that this feeble old guy who couldn't ever win the presidency on his own basically struck a deal with the devil. I think this is the third term of Barack Obama. I think all the principal players making decisions in this administration are still Obama's. And I think the deal was, look, we'll let you be the legitimate face of our operation, but you shut up and sit down and you read the words we write, and you'll have nothing more to say about it than that. I think he's just so enamored with being called president because he couldn't get there himself. He's making no decisions on his own. And in a way, it's really kind of sad and pathetic. But anyway, Congressman, before I let you go, could I just briefly get you to comment on the redistricting done by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court? It affects all of you who represent Pennsylvanians in Congress. Fred Keller has basically been drawn out. I know there was time. There was a talk. We just talked with Fred a couple of days ago that maybe the two of you would be in some kind of weird primary fight, but he's decided he's out. He's just going to step down. So you'll run again this fall, but what do you make of what the Supreme Court's done in Pennsylvania and redistricting?
Yeah, well, first off, just on Fred Keller, I mean, yeah, it was a very difficult decision for him. He certainly showed to be a person of honor and truly cares about the greater good than himself. And the winning the House back is absolutely crucial, as well as the Senate. I mean, they want to pass voter federal takeovers of elections and add to the, make D.C. a state, and these things cannot happen, or else truly our democracy will be in jeopardy. And I stand by that remark to any of my Democrat friends. But on this redistricting, it was just a terrible shame. I mean, it was an unconstitutional manner that it was rolled out. I mean, the legislators are to come up with the districts. They're to negotiate with the governor, find a way, and come up with a map. Instead, the governor vetoes it, which was, we knew that would occur because that's what he's done in the past. It moved on to the state Supreme Court, which is very political and very liberal, and they set it up in a manner so as the Republicans would lose a seat, even though we had all incumbents with Republicans, and there were two Democrat seats that are open that have no incumbent, Connor Lamb and Mike Doyle, in the western part of the state. So if they really cared about the citizens, you don't remove a member. You let the people vote that member out. And since there's no incumbent in the western districts I mentioned, that's one of those should have been absorbed. Those two should have been. And I think that would be very rational to the people of Pennsylvania. But instead, they took it as an opportunity, they meaning the left in the governor's office as well as the state Supreme Court, to take advantage of the situation and wipe out a Republican seat. So it was more than just unfortunate.
Predictable.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's in very, very many ways an abuse of power. And the American people need to appreciate that, whether you're Democrat or Republican. You don't want to see things like that. It should follow the rules of the game, which is the Constitution, and we got to deal with this as statesmen on occasion, stateswomen, as opposed to always political maneuvers.
Yeah, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Yeah, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has to be dealt with. Congressman Dan Meuser of Pennsylvania's 9th District. You're going to be our go-to Republican unless things change here in the Southeast a little bit, and we hope they do. But with the monkeying around with the districts, it's going to be challenging for sure. We hope some other Republicans can pick up seats here, closer to us here in the Southeast in Philadelphia. But you're our go-to Republican going forward if in fact they're not successful. So thank you, Congressman Meuser.
Well, hey, anytime, Chris. I appreciate that. But yeah, we got some real pickup opportunities. Lisa Scheller in the Allentown area, Jim Bognet in the Northeast. And we got some good candidates running in the 6th. So, we got some we got to win back the House. That's just that. The Republicans need to be a majority in the House, and that's an important goal.
Yeah, Pennsylvania 6 is huge. Chrissy Houlihan currently occupies that seat. I think Pennsylvania 6 is the most likely pickup for Republicans, and I'm personally pulling for Guy Shirocky in that one. I think he's fantastic. I hope he gets it done.
Yeah,
Dan
guys,
Meuser, thanks for your time today, my man.
Guy's a real good friend. Yeah, hey, Chris, I appreciate it.